Hello everybody and welcome to the 2022 FIM Monster Energy Motocross of Nations. It's the 75th edition of this historic event. My name's Paul Malin. Thanks for joining us for our live broadcast, not just today in the qualifying races, but throughout the weekend as well. And as you know from many times during the MXGP season and from previous Motocross of Nations, I'll be joined by Jason Thomas from Fly Racing. Jason Thomas, the atmosphere here absolutely building into a crescendo at the moment, and we've not even had a gate drop.
It's electric. I mean, starting yesterday with the team presentations, building all morning into these qualifying races. There is simply no event like this, and to be back in the USA tops it off.
Well, the racetrack we are at is Redbud, at, well, just outside of Buchanan in Michigan. And what is it, 1,900 meters, loamy dirt. But yeah, hilly, there's varying undulations and this kind of thing. But the crowd have been packed in since first thing this morning. I was down there in the middle of the crowd watching the first practice session MXGP, talking to American fans, British fans, and obviously the American fans, you know, absolutely pumped to be here. Some of them left even locally at 4 o'clock. They've been in there since 6 or 7 o'clock this morning, wanted to get their seat in the house. We'll be having on more on that in a moment. Let's go down to Lisa. Apparently she's got 2 Monster Energy freestyle riders there, Twitch and Axel Hodges. So obviously, pre-grid's done and dusted. In a moment, we'll go down to Lisa, who's about to sing the national anthem with Twitch Stenberg and Axel Hodges.
So we are almost ready for the very first gate drop here this weekend at Redbud, and we cannot wait. But before the races get underway, we have a special guest. We have Twitch here in Redbud. Twitch, I know they've been keeping you very busy today. What have you been up to?
It's been good. We did 1 show already. We got 1 down. We got 1 more to go to later tonight, and just looking forward to a good race this weekend. I feel like America actually has a good team this year, and I think we can take it home.
And of course, being an off-road athlete yourself, how special is it to have the Motocross of Nations right here on home soil for you?
Motocross of Nations on home soil is insane. I went a couple years ago when it was in Athens, and just for it to be here at Redbud, it's like, this is our best track in America, I feel like. So all the fans are looking forward to it, and so are we.
The fans are a different level today, though, aren't they?
Yeah, you know, you get a lot of the Europeans in there with the chainsaws and the air horns, and Americans start driving off of that, and it just gets even cooler.
Okay, Twitch, so I know who you're supporting, obviously, but what other teams out there do you think can really get in the mix with Team USA?
France has a good team. France always has a strong team. I haven't really been up on it that much this year, but I'd say France and US are my 2 top picks right there this year for sure.
Okay, well, enjoy the rest of the day. Great chatting to you, Twitch. Thank you. Now, another special guest here today, we have Axel Hodges. Axel, firstly, tell us about you, what you've been up to, and a certain Imagination freestyle event.
Yep, just got back from Kansas, and we did a week long of hitting the biggest jumps you could imagine, and that airs tomorrow, so I don't want to spill the beans out of who won, but did pretty good there, so excited to see the show tomorrow.
And of course, being here in Redbud, like Twitch, they've been working you pretty hard today and tomorrow.
Yeah, kind of. We just had to go ride a dirt bike, so I got nothing to complain about. I like to go jump my dirt bike every day, so just another day in the office.
And tell us about the atmosphere here. Why is it such a special atmosphere? Why are Americans loving this event just so much here at Redbud?
Well, this is my first time at Redbud. From what I've heard, that the crowd is just insane here, and I've been to Baja Acres before, and the same Michigan crowd is just, I don't know, they're crazy here. They like to party a little bit and then mix that in with some Europeans, and you got quite the mix of fans, so it's a lot of fun, and that was one of the funnest shows we've done all year just because of the fans. Yeah.
Now, I know obviously you're going to be supporting Team USA, that goes without saying, but just tell us what other teams do you think can really give them a run for their money?
I haven't been paying too much attention to MXGP or anything of that.
What?
I don't know. I'm out riding and not on the screen, but I'm sorry, but I'd say the Lawrence brothers, Team Australia, pretty fast, but I'm rooting on Eli Tomac, Chase Sexton, and Justin Cooper. I want to see them put it to the boys. We're on the home turf, so let's go America.
Well, you enjoy the weekend. Thank you. Okay, have a good day. Okay, and good luck to all the guys. It's time for the first qualifying session, MXGP.
Thanks, Lisa. Follow that. Well, as always, the riders headed out onto the racetrack, or head out onto the racetrack after those frequent interviews, led out by a rider called Anwar Hakti of Morocco, because here's where things get technical. Even though we had a free practice this morning, and the first race up is just the MXGP riders. So for those following this broadcast, watching a Motocross of Nations for the very first time, MXGP riders, MX2 riders, the open class riders had their own individual practice sessions. The qualifying races will be the same. Any laps they put down in practice will not count. Instead, on Friday afternoon, midday, there is a ballot drawn by the FIM. Hand goes into one box, pulls out the name of a country. Hand goes in the other box, pulls out a number. The two are correlated. That gives the teams their gate picks for the qualifying races. And as you can see, Morocco go to the line first, ahead of Switzerland, Latvia, Netherlands, Estonia, all the rest of it. And so we've got a rider from Morocco, Anwar Hakti, riding number 91, who will line up first gate pick. Does he go to the first gate or does he go middle? And then we've got Jeremy Seewer of Switzerland. He's obviously one of the lead guys, and there is the number 22, looking very good this morning in the free practice. Jason.
Yeah, Seewer had a great MXGP season, and I think he's one of the favorites for the individual honors here tomorrow. But winning in this MXGP class, you can't understate that. And of course, we see the favorite here. Everybody here cheering for Eli Tomac. Won both championships stateside in 2022.
Well, let's just fill people in on what happened in the free practice. We don't really want to take too much notice of it, but you and I know, as we look at Tony Cairoli, defending champions, they're riding 1, 2, and 3. Cairoli in this MXGP race, the only Italian, of course, riding number 1. Spain, Jorge Prado was the fastest in the free practice, the number 46. Tomac was second, about 4 tenths behind. Seewer was third, about 8 tenths behind him. And then we had Jago Geerts of Belgium riding a 450 this weekend. And Maxim Renault, Glenn Koldenhoff from the Netherlands, Mitch Evans, Tony Cairoli, Dylan Wright, and Alvin Osland. Great Britain's Dean Wilson was 13th as we look at Evans, just, I guess, clearing something out of the way there or whatever else. But those free practice times, anything stand out for you or not really?
Not really. The usual suspects were all up there. I honestly thought Tony Cairoli maybe a little bit higher up, as well as Mitch Evans, but they were all close within a couple of seconds here, and I think they take it for what it truly is. It's free practice. Now the racing starts, and this is what counts.
And we see Jeremy Seewer there, and the number 40 of Dylan Wright. He looked pretty good this morning in free practice. Obviously, he's from Canada, so 3 or 4 hours from here, just over the border north of here?
Yeah, and they should feel very comfortable here. They have their semi, their actual equipment, all those things. So that brings a level of comfort, and you should see that in the results.
So who else are we looking for here then? So Seewer from Switzerland, Koldenhoff from the Netherlands, Cairoli from Italy, Jago Geerts of Belgium, Max Nagel of Germany, Tomac from the United States, Wilson from Great Britain, Prado from Spain. Who else in there? Mitch Evans of Australia. We've got Martin Barr, A-Rod, Anthony Rodriguez, Maxim Renault of France, and Josiah Natsky, France. Gate pick number 29. So they're going to be all the way over to the right-hand side, left of the box somewhere. The Fly Racing 15-second board up for the first time. It's a 20-minute plus 2-lap race. And who will it be that grabs that all-important foxhole shot? Of course, they count tomorrow, but that board is there all the same. It's a slightly downhill start straight as well into a banked right-hander 180. The Fly Racing 5-second borders turn. Gate drops, a good jump from one of the riders in the middle, and rider down at the back there. That might have been Dylan Wright. So the number 40, Dylan Wright, going down as hurt. Seewer leads Evans coming through the first turn, and Koldenhoff in third. And the 16 of Jago Geerts in the baby blue colours is in 4th place. Tomac, where is he?
He's about mid-pack there, maybe top 10, backside of the top 10.
There he is there.
Didn't get a good jump. I saw Prado cut over on him pretty well. Imagine that, Prado with a really good jump. But it was interesting there to see Seewer. He actually had to pull a wheelie on the second straight there to get his starting hook to disengage.
Well, I was just out on the track. I think you were as well. 10 or 15 minutes before we came out on the broadcasters. Koldenhoff defending on the number 4 there. They put water down since the last practice session, and it's hard and slick in some places as well. So the riders will be mindful of that.
Yeah, and I'm interested to watch Tomac here. He really made a significant change in his strategy this year to be really aggressive on the first lap, and that was something that led him to beat Chase Sexton in the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. So I want to see if he employs that same strategy, or does he play it a little safe knowing that the points aren't paid today?
So Jeremy Seawer leads it. The green and gold of Mitch Evans is in second place for Australia. Third is Koldenhoff of the Netherlands. Fourth is Belgian Thiago Geerts. Fifth is Prado of Spain. And Geerts has found his way past Koldenhoff. So he moves up into third place. First time out on the 450 for the Belgian.
Yeah, this race has an interesting history of these first-time 450 guys really succeeding. We saw Jet Lawrence have a great time in the open class. We saw Ryan Dungey in 2009 win his first time out on the 450. So I'm looking for that type of effort from Geerts. And you see him already making a move on an established HRC. Seawer down.
Seawer folds the front, and Evans takes over. Oh, he's almost out the front door there, though. But Thiago Geerts in second position for Belgium at the moment. Riders have they've all been getting over the Roccos as well, haven't they?
Yeah, and you see a little bit of that water they put down there. I think that just caught Seawer out. You know, the track's a little bit slippery, so there's that fine line between, you know, not being aggressive enough, but also putting yourself under pressure on that first lap, which Seawer just got it wrong there.
So Jeremy Seawer, we'll wait to see where he picks himself up, but it's a simple mistake for him. Watch this, he doubles his way in, folds the front there, and you do all the hard work, you get that perfect start, and you just throw it away. And Evans capitalizing perfectly.
Yeah, if you land on that front brake and the front tire pushes, all your weights forward, you're certainly going down. So it wasn't too painful. He's still running around the top 5 here, especially on qualifying day. Not a huge deal.
Yeah, still in fourth place, so just behind Koldenhoff. Picked himself up pretty quick, kept the engine running. Of course, electric starts now on these things, but it's Mitch Evans, Team Australia, who leads Belgians. Thiago Geerts up from an MX2 machine this weekend on a 450. Not the only rider doing that. Jet Lawrence in the open category will see the third final race of the day. And see how he gets on, and we'll talk about that later. But this race right now, let's give you the countries that are leading the way at the moment. Australia from Belgium, Netherlands third, Switzerland 4, Spain, France, America with Eli Tomac in 7th place. Then we have Britain in 8th, Sweden 9, Norway 10, Guam, Italy, Mexico, New Zealand 14, Germany, Estonia, Canada, Japan, Lithuania and Brazil, with Latvia in 21st place. The South Africans in 25th, the Irish in 26th.
You see Geerts here, looks really aggressive. I think he's got a point to prove. He was in a season-long battle with Tom Vial for the MX2 World Championship. Came up short there. I'm sure that didn't sit well. So this would be a great way to kind of wrap up 2022 with a really strong performance.
Through this left-hander as we cut from one side of the valley to the other, and Seawer finds his way past his normal year-long teammate, Glenn Koldenhoff. He cuts the move off to the outside and does make that move stick to third place.
Seawer getting aggressive here, and Koldenhoff, we all remember how great he was back here in 2018, and you wonder on Saturday how much risk are they willing to take. Really the goal on Saturday is just to get a solid gate pick for Sunday. You don't want to take too much risk, and also the track's still working in too, so I think you'll see the lap time start to come down. You see Mitch Evans sliding all over the place, and that's just a little bit of moisture on the top there that's still moving around.
Yeah, it's hard and slick on through those final couple of corners on the run towards the finish line area. But just to fill you in as well, it's not your normal 25 points, 22, 20, points in the World Championship or whatever it is in AMA. It's 1 for a win, 2 for second, 3 for third. The lowest points scored after 3 races will be the top 19 teams qualified, and then we have the B final tomorrow.
Right, and then you're going to take the two best scores from today, right? So you don't necessarily want to have a throwaway here, so you have to balance that. Okay, yes, I'd love to win the race today, but just getting a top 5 score really puts you in a good position for tomorrow.
And when you think about it, let's say Australia, Mitch Evans here. If he wins this and Hunter Lawrence wins the MX2 race, that's 1 + 1, that's 2. That is the lowest possible qualifying score, which means they would automatically be qualified. It doesn't matter what the final rider does in the last race. So that gives you an indication.
Right, and more than that too, it's such a mental coup for them to come out and do that. Everybody knows Australia's going to be strong this weekend, but at the same time to come to American soil and go 1-1 sends a really powerful message going into Sunday.
So Eli Tomac still in 7th. There he is. He's behind Maxime Renault. We've got France and America behind the Spaniard, Jorge Prado, in the next left-hander heading up right in the middle. Here we are. So we've got Prado in the red and yellow of Spain. We've got Maxime Renault of France, number 13. And then the number 101 of Eli Tomac. So this is 5th, 6th and 7th. A lot of hype around the Motocross nations, especially when it comes to the USA. Jason Thomas. And as we've said, privately, and as was discussed in the media conferences yesterday, Chase Sexton, Eli Tomac had the year of all years in terms of a battle right the way down to the final race of the campaign. No one really looking past the Americans this year, but he's struggling there in 7th place at the moment.
Yeah, and you see Tomac, you know, I'm sure he's nervous. There's a lot of pressure on these American riders, and I think as the weekend goes on, he's going to start to loosen up a little bit and stop thinking so much. When I watch him ride, he looks tighter than really I saw him all year. I just think it's a different dynamic here, and the pressure of representing America, I can just see it in his riding. He doesn't look necessarily as aggressive.
Actually, yeah.
And I think that's going to come with the track, too. I think he's trying to be a little bit careful with how wet the track is at the moment.
Actually, where he just jumped the uphill triple and then that left-hander just in front of Hospitality, when he landed, the back end just kicked across the left. I was stood there in the open practice. 2 riders had big crashes there this morning because they did what he did, but Tomac managed to save it. They jumped through the turn, they landed, but where the turn just hooks around, there's a hard edge in there, and it just
high-sided the
other rider. And they went down hard as well.
Yeah, that's a pretty common crash here at Redbud because they're carrying so much momentum. They're leaned so far to the inside. If anything upsets that momentum to the outside, they're typically upside down in a hurry.
In terms of track preparation, obviously you have the July 4th National here, you know, part of the AMA Lucas Oil Pro Nationals, but how different is the track today, would you see? Because yesterday walking around, a lot of people said it's going to be deep, but they're surprised at how quickly it's gone down to a firm base. It's not that deep. So is this more in keeping with how it was? Because 1 or 2 people said it was deeper. Hunter Lawrence, when I spoke to him in the lunch break, said it was a lot deeper in July than it was now.
Yeah, and I think some sections are, but at the same time, I think some of the sections aren't as ruddy. It just hasn't been as much riding on it quite yet. You know, we would have 4 practices on it versus 3, and more riders on it up to this point. There will be all the riders that don't qualify to the main races before these guys actually hit the racetrack. So I don't think it's quite as rough yet. But I think if they allow it to continue getting rough throughout the weekend, it's going to be a brutally rough racetrack on Sunday.
Well, Australia, of course, coming in as one of the favourites as well, not just for a podium. They've not had one since 2011, but maybe even the win as well. And Mitch Evans doing a great job, but just leaves the door open there. Is he going to be brave enough? Yes, he is. He gets back alongside. Does he regain the lead? No, he doesn't. So Jago Geerts leads for Belgium at the end of lap 3.
Well, I'm sure Mitch didn't want to relinquish the lead there, and especially to an MX2 rider. This would be a really, really strong statement for Jago. It's his first ride out. No one knows what to expect, and takes the lead here.
Yeah, just ran wide. Obviously, that's been his line, but Geerts just saying, right, you know what, I'm going to use the Sexton line from July. And he did it, but it just wasn't, sorry, he did it, and he did it to good effect as well.
Well, and I believe he's racing one of the, maybe getting to ride some of the Monster Star Yamaha equipment here in the U.S., and they may be wanting to get that back after this qualifying race. But he looks incredible so far. You know, the thing with Jago, though, is he has been prone to an unforced error at times in his career, and that's what I'm watching for. Is he able to remove that error out of his game this weekend? Because if he can stay mistake-free throughout the weekend, he's going to be battling for a podium in the MXGP class.
I'm just trying to remember whether Saturday we already started to have the rain back in 2018, and the track was already heavy and quite, you know.
There was never a time on that weekend where it wasn't raining, Paul. There was never a time. Trust me, I think about that weekend once a day. Probably once a day throughout my life I think about that weekend.
Cue Darth Vader.
It's a painful memory.
Darth Vader's in the box for the moment, though, yeah?
Well, and you know, I think probably most fans are sitting at home wondering, where's the Eli Tomac that we watched all summer? I think he's being really cautious. He was so incredibly aggressive this summer, and I think he was just in his element, in the zone. To me, when I watch him, he's just feeling things out. I don't see him taking a lot of chances. You know, he's still stuck behind Maxime Renault here, but I think he's just going to ramp up that intensity. And if you've watched Eli Tomac over the course of his career, he can turn on the intensity with the snap of his fingers. You know, we kind of call it beast mode when he goes into this next level zone, and he can cut 3 seconds out of his lap time in 1 lap when he finds that. I don't see it quite yet. We may not see it today, but he still has it. So I think he's just letting the race kind of unfold, knowing that it's just about gate pick. Trophies aren't handed out today, and you don't want to throw anything away on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll go as fast as actually the lap that he passed Evans last time around, 2:02.8, and just coming up short there and deciding not to triple up as he tried to find his way past Renault a moment ago. Eli Tomac still hanging on to that 7th place, but not finding his way to 6th just through there. But the crowd absolutely amped here around this Redbud circuit in Buchanan, Michigan. He was using a lot of outsides in free practice, I noticed this morning, and he gets taken wide there, and the 2 Yamahas almost come together. But we have a change of position. Tomac now up in the 6th place.
I don't think Renault's making friends out there at the moment. I'm sure Tomac's probably really frustrated to still be behind him as well. So let's see what Tomac can do here. He's got a clear track for the first time in a while, and it's kind of mid-moto, so he should be pretty loosened up. I would expect to see him turn in his best lap the next lap.
Just watch this here. Obviously, he decides to commit to the outside, and normally he would cut back, but he's been taken all the way wide there. And actually, Maxime Renault didn't do anything wrong there. Held his line.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Tomac, you're going to look at it and say, why are you drifting so wide, right? The pass has already been made. But if you're Renault, you're supposed to protect your line. So it's racing. Of course, they're going to go for the same line.
But the angle that we had from the back there, it looked like, yeah, he was drifting wide. But when you look from the drone cam, you can see where those lines are from that inside, where they're just naturally going that way anyway. So, you know, if they had collided, it would have been a racing incident, but he would have had a hard job getting out of here alive.
Sure, and for me as an American, I'm going to say that Team France is doing something wrong in every scenario. We just have to start there.
For 5 years running.
Nothing lost. Yeah, I'm sure Tomac was okay, fine, push me wide, I'm going around anyway.
Anyway, Jorge Prado is starting to close in on Koldenhoff. This will be for 4th place. So the rider in orange from the Netherlands, and actually Tomac has wasted no time bridging the gap back to the 46 in the red and yellow of Spain.
Yeah, this is really what I was looking for. If Tomac can pick it up, turn in his best sectors, which he has, and go towards the front. Like, he doesn't have to win this race, that's fine, no problem, but show the speed, get the intensity, work the bugs out, so when you get out there Sunday, all of this indecision and the hesitancy that he showed in the first half of this moto is out of the way.
2 fastest sectors so far, but Gray in sector 3. He's obviously caught the tail end of these 2 riders here. Oh, and Prado looks over his shoulder, knows that the rider behind is going to jump, and Tomac does, and he rounds the outside.
Well, and I'll tell you this, his ability to close up to these guys this fast breeds confidence. This is what he would want. Like, he's not smiling in his helmet because he's breathing too hard, but this is what he wants to see out of himself. It's like, okay, I got clear, and I pulled right up on them within 1 lap. So any doubts that may have been starting to show roots at the beginning of the race are quickly eradicated.
Yeah, and obviously setting his fastest lap of the race, a 2:03.3, not the fastest lap of the race. That was Jago Geerts on the 3rd lap. We're on lap 6 now, so 5 complete in this race. 7 minutes plus 2 laps to go. And Jorge Prado, not the easiest rider to pass in MXGP. What will Tomac make of that?
I don't think it's going to slow him down. He's going to make the pass there. Once he gets into this mode, and I think he thinks too much. He thinks about what he's doing instead of just reacting. Once he goes into this mode where he's just allowing instinctual riding to take over, it's usually curtains for everybody else.
So Tomac then, the gap between him and our race leader, Jago Geerts, was about 10.9 at the start of the lap, but yeah, he cut to the inside. That was a decision that he'd already made. I'm going regardless.
Yeah, and this is Eli Tomac at his best, where he's not working through a process. He's just doing what he knows best. And you know, he turned in his quickest lap of the race last time. I bet this lap's even quicker because he's developing into that mode.
So Maxime Renault there, riding around in 7th position. Again, the French, their experience of this. And I think some of these riders, and Tomac included, you know, as he goes around the outside of Koldenhoff, moves up into 4th place. Beast mode has been activated.
Yeah, and this is classic Eli Tomac, right? And this is what I was most worried about, is I wouldn't see this. I would see him be hesitant the whole way, finish 6th, and then he has to sleep with all of that doubt. I think that's gone now, and he's just doing what he does.
Around the outside, he commits, and actually should never have been allowed the comfortable manoeuvre around the outside there. But Koldenhoff, I think, just getting through this one. And maybe just riding it out.
Yeah, and when somebody comes up on you that fast and makes a move that decisive, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, he's already put 20 meters into him. You know, I think Koldenhoff understood that, hey, he's going by either way. I'm not going to put us both on the ground here on Saturday.
Another personal best, 2:03.2. So twice in the 2:03s, Tomac as he moves up into 4th place. 2 passes in the space of a lap, Koldenhoff and Prado. So going from 6th to 4th, the 101 from the United States of America.
And you can feel that building. It was just slowly ramping up now, and I wouldn't be surprised for it to see him close up. I don't think he's going to get to the top 2, but I would expect to see him get past Cyril when it's all said and done.
2 seconds lap quicker than the race leader, 3 seconds quicker than Evans in 3rd, and you know what? I think there could be still only 8.5 seconds. So we're 2-minute lap times, let's say, on average. So 2 minutes. So we've got about 3-4 laps to go.
Can he make decisive moves? That's the thing, right? If he gets stuck behind Seawer for any amount of time, he's going to lose out on that opportunity. But if he can clear them as fast as he did those 2, there's a chance.
And let's not forget, the first race of the day, almost every single fan around the racetrack here, they're looking at Tomac. It's the first rider. It would have been Chase if he was in the MXGP category, but it's Tomac. They'll be looking at him, and the teammates will be looking at him. The team around them will be saying, you get that first race, that sows the seed. You know, you go and win that one, guess what? We're all, you know,
it's confidence
already there.
inspiring. Everybody picks up just the emotion and everything, you know, starts to build. And I think they're seeing that already. He doesn't even have to win. Seeing him blow through the pack, passing the likes of Koldenhoff, who was so dominant here in 2018, I think that already sends a message. So like I said earlier, I was worried the first half of the race he wasn't showing any aggression. I've already seen what I need to see. He could finish 4th, and I'd be like, that's okay. He looked the part.
Tony Cairoli in 10th place for Team Italy. He's behind Cornelius Tondale, the rider in red ahead of him of Norway. And then Dean Wilson, GB, is in 8th place. So really? Tony Cairoli, obviously he's made some fans here, hasn't he, this year?
Yeah, and obviously worldwide, I think everybody appreciates the effort of his entire career. You know, he's raced here at Motocross of Nations twice before, and if you're not a Tony Cairoli fan, I don't understand why you wouldn't be. But interestingly here, behind Tondale, EMX rider, Tony's like, oh man, I've never raced, probably never raced against this guy before.
Seawer has found his way past Evans, so out of the final turn into turn 1. So Seawer now up in the 2nd position, probably sensing the charge from Tomac, who's now into the 202s. And we've got 3 minutes to go, so it's going to be this lap plus. So we've got 3 laps to go, 4 laps to go.
Well, and you wonder if Seawer responded to seeing Tomac coming, right? Did he see Tomac closing the gap and said, okay, I've got to pick up the pace and move past that?
The difference is, though, picking it up with just a few laps to go, you know, and obviously Seawer now having to try and find that.
Yeah, and it speaks volumes for Seawer that he was able to pick up the pace and respond. I see Tomac getting past me as we see Cairoli still trying to move forward here. And he's actually got Dylan Wright on his tail. Dylan Wright won every single moto in the Canadian National Series. Just a wildly dominant year for Dylan Wright. And he's no stranger to these MXGP riders as well.
Yeah, and obviously when we saw, I would like to see a replay at the start, well, we'll see it later on, but it looked like it was he that crashed through the off the gate. But look, I mean, that's just efficiency right there. Tomac onto the rear of Evans, now up in the 3rd place. Fans on their feet, absolutely rooting like they, you know, cheering for him like they have done all summer long. And he's now up in the 3rd. He's got Seawer in his line of sight, and he's only about 6 seconds down on our race leader. There is still plenty of time for an upset if you're European or anywhere else in the world, but for celebrations after race 1 for everybody out here on the banks.
Well, and I don't think you can understand, you know, he can hear the crowd, right? Everywhere he goes around this racetrack, people are screaming, and the adrenaline that produces to keep pushing you forward is like nothing else in motorsport. So whether he's tired, no matter where his heart rate is, he is at max effort right now because simply the crowd is going crazy charging him forward.
Well, 202.9, that was only a 10th slower than Jago Kiet's lap on lap 3. That was lap 7. So he's definitely getting quicker every lap, and Seawer looks over his shoulder and thinks, okay, beast is on me.
He's still over a second faster than anybody else on the racetrack, and yeah, this is the Eli Tomac that we've seen all summer long, right? This is nothing new on the Yamaha. He's just been a different guy mentally, physically, and that's why he was your champion.
Yeah, last lap was 205.18 for Kietz, 205.28 for Seawer. Tomac, 203.8. So time in his pocket, and obviously Evans now dropping to the 209s, Prado in the 206s. But a bit of a battle going on here for 2nd place. Jeremy Seawer and Eli Tomac. Switzerland versus the USA. Here's your race leader, Jago Kietz, Team Belgium.
Really impressive by Jago.
Yeah.
He looks the part. You know, he looks like an MXGP regular already in his first race on the 450s.
Yeah, I mean, it came to my attention on Friday that when we arrived here, when he was here in the winter, Jago Kietz was actually riding a 450 quite a bit as well. So the time that he's put on it since and the back end of the season, not only, not just a recent thing. Oh, Tomac almost off the side of the track there as a back marker, just trying to hold his line, but Tomac quite lucky with that one.
Yeah, it's tough. These qualifying races, right? You have these lesser-known countries. These guys are not used to racing this level of competition, so you're going to face some of that. Thankfully, tomorrow, when the points are paid out, none of those guys will have qualified.
So Seawer, hands full of Tomac.
And Seawer can hear this as well, right? Tomac's feeding off of him, but Seawer's like, he knows who it is because they would only be cheering like that for somebody else. But you wonder for Seawer, is he feeding that off? He wants to upset these fans. He wants to hold off Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Champion too, because like Seawer said in the team presentations, this is the only time these guys get to race each other all year long, and they want to prove who's best.
And also for his own confidence, that if he can sit there and withstand the pressure and, just stay ahead, that will be one thing close moment there.
Yeah, the corner speed that these guys are entering with is just incredible. You saw, I mean, Seawer was drifting with both tires there, and it just shows the limit that these guys are on.
Looking for that outside line again. Seawer knows it's there. He's going to close down the door. This is turn 1. Is he going to? Nah, I thought he was going to run it down the inside, but again, just protecting the inside. He'll get his opportunity though. Will Eli Tomac? Well, bit of a mistake there from Seawer.
See if Eli can set up the same line that he used to pass Jorge Prado a few laps ago.
Yeah, he was fast through there in free practice. That's one of the areas on the racetrack I was watching, but he jumped long on that step down. Back end almost got away from him as well when he landed. Here it's just the other side of the Monster Energy jump. These guys now 3 seconds behind the leader. There he is, looking the opposite direction, heading downhill now. 204s for your first two, Geerts and Seawer. 203 for Tomac.
Tomac right on the edge. You see lots of mistakes here, and it just shows he's putting in a ton of effort. I was curious to see if he would push hard or if he would be willing to settle. There's no settling in his riding right now. He wants to get to the front.
Crowd-wise, more than what you had here in July, probably about the same.
Just a couple more. Just a couple more, Paul. But again, this national is held on a national holiday, 4th of July. It's probably the most well-attended national anyway, but Motocross of Nations is just a completely different level.
Yeah. So we're approaching the final lap board then. And so far, after, to use your words, blowing through the field, Jason, Eli Tomac's coming up a bit of a roadblock with Jeremy Seawer. Well, for those who are watching this for the first time, you know, on this side of the pond, Jeremy Seawer finished second in MXGP behind Tim Geisler this year. What, won 3 GPs, 4 GPs along the season?
I mean, one of Seawer's best years ever. Like, he's always been battling in that top 3, but he showed a lot of poise this year. And it looked like he was ready to kind of take the next step in MXGP. And he, to his credit, he stepped up his last time, getting to a low 204 the last time around. So one more time around this Redbud racetrack. We'll get the white flag here.
Yeah, 1 to go. Geerts 204.7. The guys behind him in the 203s. The gap now 2.3 seconds. And Jago Geerts now all of a sudden will be under pressure on this final lap. And I think we're going to get 3 guys cross the line pretty much like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, Seawer's done a great job here of responding to the pressure, but I also think Eli's had to take a few lines that he didn't necessarily want to, and it's allowed Seawer to kind of build that gap back up.
But it's all part of the racing though, isn't it? The racecraft, you know, he found lines to make those passes early on from 7th now to 3rd, but those lines aren't working for him at the moment.
Yeah, and he's closing up here. He's really got to think about this and use his racecraft to try to catch Seawer out, give him a line that he's not expecting, because I think Seawer in his mind knows where Eli's going to be, and he's just going to be protecting that line at all costs.
Just keeping out of the way there for Team Ireland. Martin Barr riding in 23rd place. You're going to get your wish, aren't you?
He's a veteran. I like the veteran guys. I like the guys that have been around. You know, there are a few of those guys. Reese Carter for New Zealand. A few of those guys this weekend. You just cheer. How can you not cheer for them? They've been in this race for almost 2 decades.
I'm going to tell you my favourite Tanel Leuk story of the weekend. When we can, in fact, Estonia, they are out there, aren't they? Tanel Leuk. Yeah. So Tanel Leuk, number 19. Where is he? He's in 15th place at the moment. MXGP practice. First lap, everyone up and over Larocco's lead, no one jumped it. First lap, the 122-year-old, Tanel Leuk, popped it first time out. First lap, cold.
That's experience and also very surprising.
I don't even know if he jumped it here in 2018. Anyway, a couple of corners still to run. We've got Larocco's lead, left, right, finish line, and that's it. And Jago Geerts done a fantastic job, and a mistake there from Seawer coming out of that inside line. Just bobbled through there. But here is Jago Geerts, the number 16, Team Belgium, takes the checkered flag. It's at 1 point, and that is a big win for him. And the guy in the middle there in the cap, Johan Boonen. And Tomac got to 2nd on the final lap. Wow, I want to see that where that happened, because Tomac's 2nd and Seawer 3rd, and this place will erupt.
Well, you saw Seawer make that critical mistake on the inside. Tomac saw it and immediately picked up his intensity to triple over Larocco's leap, and then certainly went around.
I think he would have tripled, and Seawer probably couldn't get the drive.
Seawer has to be just kicking himself to fight that hard and ride so well to hold him off, and then the 2 turns to go to make that mistake. In the end, what matter? Probably not. But for Seawer, mentally, he wanted to beat Eli Tomac. That's what it comes down to.
So the MXGP qualifying race, here's Tony Cairoli behind Dean Wilson. And so Hertz wins it from Tomac second, Seaworth third, Evans, Prado, Koldenhoff Renault, Wilson 8, Cairoli 9, Dylan Wright 10. Just there in the background, and then we'll have Cornelius Tondell of Norway, Max Nagel of Germany, Alvin Osland, Sweden, Vinny Kloss of Guam, of all places. And then Tano Leo, the one